Kidding me. Is it connected now? Wow. Hey, what's up? Scott Balkum here with Imagination Creation Films. And today, aside from taking your questions and talking about whatever you want to talk about, I want to talk about media management and how I handle it in the field by myself in a van down by the river. Oh, that is truly hilarious. Right before, like 20 seconds before 3 o'clock. It's been counting down. I'm just ready to hit the stream button. And the countdown disappears. And I think, well, that was a little rude. Why would that do? It should give you at least down to the last second so you can hit the button. So then it's like 2:59. I figured it was really getting close. I'll just start it a little early, give you guys a treat. I hit the stream button and it won't connect. Check. Sure enough, internet's down. I cannot win at all, ever. But you know what? We just keep mashing forward. It is, what day is today? It's Wednesday? It's Wednesday, yeah. You know, working full-time in this gig, you just kind of know in 3 days I have a gig. In a day I have a gig. I'm doing this in 2 days. I forget what days of the week it is. It's Wednesday, October something or other. Probably the 10th. I'm going to guess on the 10th. And I'm here. Just like I said I was. A little bit late, but that wasn't exactly my fault. But you know, I'll take the blame. No problem at all. Got my delicious Diet Coke. Jim, how are you, man? Jason, good to see you. You're renovating your house. I'm renovating my studio. Yeah, this is kind of half there, Jim. It's in mid progress. Look behind me here as soon as I can figure out which one it is. Yep, that one. So that's kind of a crappy cam, but you can see the sick wall is now. I just put the last coat of mud on the transition. And so that will be, that'll be really nice here shortly. I'll probably have that painted tonight. So I'm super excited about that. So while that is happening, the rest of the studio is in a shambles, but it is rearranged quite a bit. And yeah, it's kind of cool. How's everybody doing today? You know, I have Super Chat, and I honestly don't even know how to use it. And I don't know how to use it with you guys. I would love to use it so that, it could be used. I just don't know what to use it for. You guys got any ideas what I should do for Super Chat? Like, usually people say, oh, if you give me $10, then I'll review your video or something like that. I could do that if that's something you guys want. I just don't know what to do with it. It could just be a tip jar, but I want to give people something for giving a tip. I don't know. So yeah, y'all let me know what you think about the Super Chat. It's available, so I can play with it. Most horrendous experience of your life? What, renovating your house? Please, I built my house. It's nothing. Renovating is easy. It's a lot of destruction, and destruction takes very little time, and it's just dust, lots and lots of dust. That's day in the life in my house. I'm always renovating. That's I enjoy it. We got other people in here. 4 people joined already. That's cool. I enjoy ramping this up. But yeah, so one of the things I wanted to talk about, I want to try to create a theme for each live stream, just so that people going back and watching live streams will have a topic that might interest them and they might watch the live stream. Or maybe topics suck. I don't know. We'll find out. The topic of today's live stream was media management and what did I do while I was on the road, because it is not easy to take cards and lots of cards. Man, I'm a bad setup here. I didn't, ooh, wait. Think I can do it. I didn't put all my props out here. A good host would have every prop needed ready to go, and I was sitting there twiddling my well, okay, I guess I am. Well, maybe there. I was sitting there twiddling my thumbs, waiting for it to count down before the internet died. But really, this is the extent of okay. Well, that's pathetic. Okay, well, with any luck, there's an SD card in there. This is the SD fulls. Well, I've already emptied the cards. How about this one? What do I got in here? Well, all right, fine. We'll use those. Props. Got to give me props of my props. You know what I'm saying? Want to come live it? Ha! That is funny. It held your comment for review, Jason. That does look like a bunch of hard. Yeah, there's over like 35 terabytes of drives. That's what I brought. So, one of the things to keep in mind, many of you know, some of you don't. Hard drives are spinning media, and they have a maximum speed. So these drives right here, these are 4 terabyte Lacey drives, 4 terabyte WDs, and these are all 3 terabytes. They're spinning drives. They have a max speed that they can write to of about, depending on how full they are, if they're really full, they're about 120 megabytes a second. If they're empty, you can get closer to about 180 megabytes per second maximum. Sometimes it's around 100, it just depends. But there's a spinning drive and there's heads on there, and they can only do one thing at a time. So if I'm writing this SD card to this hard drive, I can only write to that section of the hard disk where the heads are at that one time. If I write 2 cards, it's 2 different files. It has to put those in 2 different spots. And so it's jumping back and forth. What happens is your 120 megabytes per second actually drops to like 80, maybe 60. If I put in 3 in there, it drops even further, and you may actually only get 30 megabytes a second because you're trying to copy 3 at a time. And it's not 30 for this one and 30 for this one, 30 for this one. It's 30 for all of them because the hard drive is just, it's going nuts trying to keep up. Now, perfect media practice, and many of you shooters out there, Jim, you know this one, you want multiple copies of your data. So I shoot it. It's on my SD card. It's on my Red Mag. It's on the various technologies that you may see, fast card, compact flash, whatever it is that you're writing to. You need to get that onto 2 devices quickly, because if you kill this card, you've lost your day. You've lost your footage. You've lost all your work. And that gets expensive and time-consuming to try to recreate. So you need to make a copy of this really quickly. If I copy this SD card to both of these drives, it will take, on average, about 100 megabytes a second to copy to these. Actually, I mean, you're limited by the speed of your SD card at that point, and your SD card may not be that fast. I do have some SD cards that'll go 155 megabytes per second, which would then max out copying to these 2 drives. But again, you lose a little bit of inefficiency by going to 2 drives. Even though it's technically 2 drives, you need software to make that copy perfect. I'm kind of going all over the place here, but I want to explain all the different parts. I use a piece of software called Hedge. There's several others out there that replicate data, and what it's responsible for is to take this card and make sure it copies it here and copies it here, and it is a one-to-one copy, checking every bit, which is important. But you need to get it here quickly. Now, when I was out there on the field, I had a Red Mag. I had sometimes 2 Red Mags. I had SD cards from, say, my GH5 for my vlog. I had an SD card from my A7R2 from still photos. I had an SD card from my audio, my little H4n that I was recording with. So there is hundreds and hundreds of gigs. I mean, the Red Mags are 512 gig apiece. and I might have one or two of those, almost a terabyte of data that day, plus all the other cards, and I need to get these onto these 2 drives quickly. Now, these slower SD cards might copy at 50 megabytes per second. The fast ones might copy at 155 megabytes per second. The Red Mag will copy at about 400 megabytes per second. But I've got to get them to this, and as we explained, if I copy to 2 sources, it slows down the speed so that you're not as fast. If I'm copying 2 devices, it is not as fast. If I'm copying 4 devices, it's not as fast. Now, if I'm copying 4 devices to 2 devices, it's again not that fast. And all this has to do with the spinning media. Here's what Scott does to speed this along, because you need to be able to get all of this footage copied in a reasonable period of time, which for me was actually about 5 hours it takes to copy all of that. Hey, Tyler. That's when I try to copy a bunch of stuff, sometimes it's slow. Yeah, exactly, Jim. And even Hedge, which says that it can speed that up, it does speed it up. It's still slow. It's not fast. So here's what I do. I get rid of the spinning media right off the bat. And I use, this is a T3, I think they are, the Samsung SSDs. Now, ideally, if we all had SSDs and we just had tons of those, we wouldn't care because the speed would be there. But since none of us are rich, well, we don't have SSDs. So we have a bunch of these inexpensive hard drives. These hard drives are like 110 bucks a piece for 4 terabytes. This guy right here is like, well, I think it was 800 at the time. This is a 2 terabyte SSD. What I do is I copy all of these to this SSD first. And the reason I do that is this SSD is capable of reading and writing at 500 megabytes a second, which means it is super fast. It is in fact faster than the Red Mag. And since it's non-rotational, it does not degrade by copying 2 or 4 sources to it at the same time. You will max out at 500 megabytes per second, but you can actually achieve it. Red Mag, and I take 2